Now, it may not look like it in the minute, but today we're at the beautiful St.Ives complex in Cambridgeshire. And just over there, the other side of that bus route, is the famous St.Ives Lagoon, which is exactly where I met my good friend and big carp legend, Mr. Holness, at first light this morning.
Yeah, I'm sure this end of the lake was dug in the 80s. Sometime around that period anyway. And the other end where we've parked was the original bit.
Because I think like that end's got quite a few bars and that, I think.
Yeah,
this is what I've heard people say, and then I think this end's just a bit
flat.
Oh. I reckon that was one through there.
Yeah.
See it?
That, yeah. So that's the other side of that couple of islands, isn't it?
Yeah. This is probably the best view.
Great view.
Yeah. And there
you go.
That was one. That was definitely one.
We're gonna have a walk up there, I think, boys. 2 or 3 things hit the surface out there that I've seen just briefly.
This area of water close in front of us, though, it definitely ain't as lively as it was down there.
Nowhere near, is it?
But yeah, I'm sure there was only those 2 guys along that bank. It's like sort of out in front
There's
of
a bivvy there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, you're right, yeah.
Well, this is right up my street, this place. Couldn't have wished to come to a better lake on a better complex. It's a bit wild, a bit rugged, big wild roses like tumbling through the hedgerows. There's nothing manufactured about this lake. It's got the history, and I mean, who could forget about the old fat lady, that incredible looking old carp from back in the day. This is steeped in local folklore and legend. These sort of lakes, they're everything I love in carp fishing. This is right up my street, this place. Absolutely love it. Oh,
something there then, yeah.
Tench that was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually spotted the first one from way over there, what they called probably the beach swim area. See it through past the island here. A couple of sets of rings, then a bit more of a positive sign. So we've got ourselves round here, and yeah, there's a few bits of movement going on. Last one was a tench, but going to keep our eye on this bit of water for a while, see what we can see.
It does feel good around here. The lake's busy, isn't it, with anglers, and this is probably the quietest area as well.
Yeah, 100%.
So I have actually held a ticket for the St.Ives complex for the last couple of years, but I've never actually fished this lake. I've done quite a bit over the other side of the road, a bit on Long Reach, and a fair bit on the shallow pit. But yeah, as I say, I've never fished this lake. I walked it once in the winter a couple of years ago, but what a difference it looks now. I mean, what an incredible looking lake. It's everything you'd want from a carp lake. Super mature, weedy, great head of carp. You know, the swims all command their own bit of water. I must say, I really am impressed. You know, it is a lovely lake, this. I can see myself coming back here one day for sure.
And then if you drew a line directly towards where I'm standing, it must have been about 15 yards back towards me, massive line of bubbles came up.
Interesting. I'm just coming in here now.
If you looked straight out from where you are, it would have been probably in line from where you are now.
You can see them out there now, can't you? Fizzing away. Look,
yeah, I mean, it could be bream feeding, but I don't know, do you? I don't know what's going on, but there's definitely stuff going off out here.
Interesting. I'll keep an eye out. Yeah, cheers. Yeah, we'll see in a sec. See in a bit. Like that. So we were just sat in the swim down to the left. I don't know what it's called. I don't really know the names of the swims on here, to be honest. But Oz, who stood over in the beach, has just rang me to say he saw a trail of big bubbles come up along this margin. When we walked around earlier, we actually saw one show just out to the right here. It sounds like there definitely could be a few about. Just sort of stood now in a little gap, seeing if we can see anything.
Well, it's been a long old morning, that is, considering got here right on first light. It's now nearly midday, and we've had to have a good walk around the lake. Been a lot of anglers on, big pressure over the weekend. So it's been a bit of a bit of a scramble for swims really, but we've waited for a few, but we bided our time. We've seen a bit going on. We've seen fish at both ends of the lake. I've waited for the chap to pack up out of this swim here. It's called the Beach, from what I've been told. It's covering a decent chunk of water out here. We saw 2 fish show early on, and I've also seen fish out to the right. Tom's having a look at that area now. Yeah, so yeah, this looks like a really good starting point for the day. Just bought a few bits of gear in here, and yeah, I think probably this is where I'm going to make a start. Covering a big chunk of water. I've got like a bay out to the right. There's a little pinch point out to the left here as the lake funnels in from these 2 islands. Then it sort of widens out. You've got this lovely big bay. It's probably about, I'd say it covers a third of the lake. But yeah, this is a good starting point. I'm really happy with this swim. Just need to get a few spots really, but yeah, let's get it going.
It's weedy. Oh, flipping great there. So we've just had a few casts in this swim. Now a chap has just packed away from here, and he did catch one this morning. Now I wouldn't normally jump in a swim straight after somebody's caught one, but the lake is very busy. There's only a few options for swims really, so I don't feel too bad about jumping straight in after matey. But he was saying how weedy it was out here. But within a couple of casts, I've just found a lovely drop, sort of probably 2/3, 3/4 of the way towards the island. It doesn't feel like a massive area, but I think everything beyond it feels really weedy, and so does everything short. I'm just gonna have a few more casts. Oh, it's flipping lovely there. Maybe that was just a lucky find. Oh mate, it's flipping great, that is.
Ten foot on the bar. So we've got 10 dropping away into 14. Suddenly realised exactly how much water I've got to cover here. It's incredible. It's a big swim. A lot of frontage to it, a lot of real estate here. And yeah, all of a sudden you're sort of thinking 3 rods ain't going to be enough. But what I'm going to do is search the swim out. Obviously I don't know the lake, I don't know any spots, don't know what the topography is. So I want to find first like where the weed is. Secondly, see if there's some features. I've found a bar straight away. So I've popped the float up at the back of the bar. I'm going to have a lead around the float with I'll take my spom off, put a lead on, and just have a lead around, feel how smooth the silt is, if there's any better bits around it. My sort of thought process coming up here was probably it was going to be weedy. I would probably fish 2 rods on a spot and use a 3rd rod just to find somewhere else around the swim. But with what's in front of me here, I think really I've got to ask questions of this whole swim. So I'm going to split the rods up, try and find a spot or area for each rod, probably fish slightly different on each one. Just again, it's almost like asking questions of the lake. What are they going to react to? What sort of baiting scenario, what sort of hook baits, all of those things really, which is the lovely thing about a new lake. It's a voyage of discovery, isn't it?
$15.5 wraps. Lovely range, that is. I'm going to take it out of the clip. Just have a few more casts around the swim because I found that spot pretty quick and it does feel lovely. I'm sure I'll end up fishing it, but I don't want to commit to that spot before I've had a bit of a cast about, because there might be something better out there. Who knows? These probably stinker mackerel. I've pretty much lived in these waders for the last 3 days. Walking up and down the cliff faces on the beach. it's not easy in waders, is it, walking round? We've done some miles as well these last few days. I would love to find a spot tighter up to that weed or the island though. We'll have a few more casts, and if we ain't found nothing, I'll settle on that short spot. It's all matted with silkweed as well, which makes it very hard to pull through. So things were going so well, I managed to find a spot within a few casts in what we were told was an incredibly weedy swim. But unfortunately, things rapidly went downhill from there. I don't quite know what happened, but as I cast out there with a leading rod, sort of third or fourth cast after clipping up, I just touched the branches of the trees to the right with the rod tip as I was sort of feathering the lead down. And the braid just instantly cut off. I don't know whether it wrapped round a branch. I guess it must have wrapped round a branch. But it all happened so quickly. As I say, I can't really explain it, but unfortunately what that meant is I left a 4.5 ounce lead that I'd been leading up with, plus the shock leader, followed by about 40-50 yards of braid trailing behind it, out in the swim. Now, you can't, as I say, this is a very weedy swim. I mean, in any situation really, you wouldn't want to leave that out there. If a carp finds that, you're never going to land it. You know, it's ultimately a snag in the swim. So I tied on another lead, as you do, and chucked it over the braid to try and drag it in. But with the swim being so weedy, what actually happened is both leads, the lead I'd just cast out, which was now wrapped around the braid, plus the lead that was out near the spot, were both locked up in the weed, and I just couldn't move them. I pulled and I pulled and I pulled, and I eventually ended up pulling for a break, not intentionally, on the leading rod again. So I now had 2 leads out there, both with braid attached, basically dissecting the swim with a cheese wire of braid. Like I say, I mean, some places you go to, there's no, you know, you can't help these accidents sometimes. You know, I feel like it wasn't my fault. I'd only touched the trees with the rod, as I say, but thankfully, Martin the bailiff came round and he saw that I was having a nightmare, and bless him, he offered to go and get the boat, and I had to go out there and fish the braid out, which wasn't as straightforward as I liked. In fact, it took me about an hour and a half of floating around sort of halfway out there, like between me and the spot, dropping a lead down until actually, the problem is there's so much weed out there, and I was just kept bringing up weed, but eventually I did manage to get the braid, cleared the swim, freed it of braid, so at least we can fish safely now, with confidence that if we do hook one, we're going to land it. I feel like I've caught one already after that nightmare. Oh mate, it's fantastic, that is. Here we are. It's like glass out there. Right, let's get wrapped up and get these rigs out, because we faffed around for about 4 hours and done nothing.
Me. It's got a bit of bar in it. Once I've found what I consider potential spots, I'll put the float on and then I'll look at what the depths are and use that as reference points to work around the swim. Once I've popped the float up in a likely looking spot or something that I'm happy with, I'll then use my spom rod. I use a big loop with a little tiny loop at the end, so it's quick change. Whip the spom off, put a lead on, and then I'll lead around the float. I'm using the float as a reference point, and I'll lead around it and just sort of find out the sort of extent of the spot, where the nearest weed is, and exactly where I want to position my hook bait in terms of using the float as reference. So it's a really, really important piece of kit to carry. I've always got my marker float gear with me, none more so than when I'm starting to learn a lake or I've never visited a venue before. I think it's a really important thing to do. We're here for a couple of days. I'm not really sort of worried about pushing fish away or whatnot. Bite time's gone, there's loads of weed in this lake as you can see, so they're not going to really move far. I'd rather be fishing ultra efficient on spots that I'm super happy with to begin with than just do things by halves. You know, you might as well go belt and braces. So I'm going to put a bit of bait out tonight. I'm going to use my floats. I've got my clips for 2 rods. I'm going to get the 3rd one done, and then I've got all those clips. I've referenced that with, I've taken a picture on my phone, so I've got the float popped up, a horizon marker for each spot. So and then I'll write down what the clips are to that spot, because I'm going to obviously have 3 different clips for 3 different spots, so I don't want to get confused. And then I'll get some bait out and decide what bait I'm going to put on each spot and how I'm going to fish it in terms of rigs once I've got everything organised. So I'll have 3 rods ready to go later this afternoon, baited spots, and we'll be angling for the night. And I've got absolutely no doubts then in my mind that I'm doing things as well as I possibly can be in terms of the swim.
I'm just going with 2 simple D-rigs, as I know they work. I'm going to put bottom baits on. I just prefer bottom baits at this time of the year. Obviously it's quite late on in the summer now and a lot of people chuck pop-ups out, especially, I mean, it's weedy. I mean, obviously I don't know nothing about this lake. I don't know what people are doing on this lake, but I'm guessing they see a lot of pop-ups. And you know, this time of year they've been pressured a lot all year. A lot of them have been caught. I just think bottom baits give you a better chance. And that spot's that lovely out there. I'm sure they'll be fishing fine. Oh, that's a sharp one. That's a bite. One on a boilie, one on a tiger. Got the best of both worlds then, haven't we? A lot of the time I put the rigs out first just to ensure I get the drops, but there's quite a bit of weed on the surface short here, which no doubt my braid's going to be running over. So the last thing I want to do is put the 2 rigs out, start swamming my bait, and potentially bring the rigs in with a swam. So I think it's safer to get the bait out and just put the rigs on top.
Right, so I'm going in with 10 spawns on each rod. The mix is pretty standard for me, real good quality boilies, tigers, lovely quality hemp. So I've got a nice, decent amount of food items there, but you know, enough to get a bite. I'm just going to play it by ear from there. You know, if I get a quick bite, just top the spots up. But you know, for me, 10 out there is a good starting point for this lake as we know it at the moment. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice late summer mix. We've got whole boilie, crumb boilie, sweet corn, maize, a few tigers and a bit of particle. All sorts in there. Right. So I'm trying to keep the bait pretty tight, because it's not a massive area. At a guess, it's probably 6-7 foot wide. Plenty big enough to squeeze 2 rods on. But what I don't want is bait sat all over the weed either side of the spot. I'm going to put, I don't know, roughly 4 kilo of mixed bait out. Which is, you know, a fair amount for over 2 rods on one spot, but you know, it's coming towards the end of September now, and usually at this time of year they do want a bit of bait, so we're going to give them a bit.
That's better. Right, that's it. absolutely bang on. Perfect, couldn't be happier. That will do for the evening.
Haha. Oh, she's a beaut. How's it going, mate?
All right, mate, you all sorted?
Yeah, eventually.
Happy days. God,
Eventually.
Drama, but it's good to get it done, eh?
That's it, mate. It
Feels good now.
Feels good now they're all out there.
Yeah.
You found some nice spots out here?
Yeah, mate, yeah, I'm out in the silt, sort of got 2 behind a bar out there, and I've got 1 in a little hole in the weed. So yeah, I'm pretty happy, mate, to be honest. All went out sweet, so all baited. Let's see what the night brings, eh?
That's it, mate. Feels good, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I think we're in a good area here, so.
Definitely, especially with that little
crossed.
sanctuary up in between them islands. Like, it's a proper little nest up there, isn't it?
That's it. There's
Seen a couple.
Definitely a few up there, isn't there? And I feel like I'm probably as close to them as we can get, really.
I think so, mate, yeah. Especially if they just drift round through that island there on the way out and in, you know, good interception point, isn't it? It's like a little pinch point almost.
Yeah, well,
So,
fingers
yeah.
crossed.
Let's see what happens. All looking good. It's looking good, isn't it? He's definitely on me, that one.
Hey, get out.
Whatever it is, it's just in a massive ball of weed. Come on. A huge bream. Not what we came for. You weren't meant to be in the old mix. Ancient old barnacled thing. Right, let's get him back. Go on.
So unfortunately, no bites this morning. Yeah, a bit of a quiet night, to be honest. Like, it looked really dead this morning, although I did have a few single bleeps, sort of between 5:30 and 6:30. And speaking to a few of the lads on the lake and Martin, the bailiff, that seems to have been the time that people have been catching them, you know, just before or just after first light. So I do believe that those single bleeps could have been fish visiting the spot. I did put quite a bit of bait out yesterday, so maybe it was too much to get a bite and they just haven't found the hook baits. But over the last sort of hour, we have seen a few signs. There's bits of bubbling in the swim. A carp did show just to the left of me, probably 60, 70 yards out and maybe 15 yards to the left of where I'm fishing. So there's definitely the odd one about. Yeah, as I say, unfortunately no bites, but hope is not lost yet. I feel like there's still a chance. Oh, there's a single bleep there.
So we went into last night with a great deal of anticipation. Everything had gone beautifully through the evening. Drops were perfect. We'd seen a few fish in the area and yeah, things were looking good. quite a cold night, and I suppose it must have been about 11 o'clock. I received the take on my middle rod, which was the rod on the firmest drop of the three. And yeah, it weeded me up straight away. Didn't really do a lot. I just pumped it in. Great big weed berg. And on revealing the culprit, it was a great big bream. Mid-double, not what we came here for. But, you know, it proved that the spot was working. Everything was good enough out there. So whacked that rod back out. And to be fair, aside from a few single bleeps, it was a pretty quiet night. Woke up to a very cold dawn, just typical of what you expect at this time of year. And it took a little while to get going this morning, if I'm honest. You know, got that early morning vigil underway, watching the water, and didn't really see a lot till around, I suppose, breakfast time, about 8 o'clock, started seeing the fizzing starting, and I had heavy fizzing on the left-hand rod and quite a bit of activity over the right-hand rod. I think it was about 9:30, right-hand rod's pulled up tight, again pulled into it, weeded me immediately, and yet again another great big bream. So yeah, I mean, what can I say? Both of those takes were on tiger nut hook baits, so aside from putting big old donkey chokers on, not sure, having a bit of a rethink about how to approach these spots for this evening. Going to work that out this afternoon. In the meantime, we have seen a really good fish enter the swim from the little channel to my left where Tom's fishing. I think I'm going to wind in, go for a walk, go for a look around the pit, restock my stuff. From what we've seen this morning, Tom's seen a couple of shows just down to my left. We've seen one in shorter as well, so unless I find an opportunity that's absolutely screaming at me this afternoon, I'm going to drop back in here for this evening, get the rods back out, probably slightly change the tactics up a little bit, see if we can't nick one of the carp. But yeah, at the moment we're 2 bream in and we need a carp.
Right, so I've decided I'm going to wind them in. It's midday now anyway, and it seems to have gone very quiet. And I've got a plan. I'm going to shoot up to the tackle shop, which is only 10 minutes up the road. And I'm going to buy some maggots, maybe some casters. They're a great bait at this time of the year. And although I do feel like carp have probably fed on that spot this morning, I don't feel like there was a great amount of feeding activity. And a few maggots and casters out there might just sort of stir their interest a little bit more. Plus I want to find another spot for my third rod, perhaps out to the left, where we saw one show this morning. So if I can find a spot out there, maybe just get a few spoms and maggots and casters, if we can get some casters as well. I just feel like that's our best chance of getting a bite. We'll see anyway. Can but try. You got any maggots? Yes, yeah. Casters? Half a gallon of each, if you can, if you've got that many. Yeah, we're just filming over on the lagoon. We're struggling, hence why we need maggots and casters. We've only got one more night and I feel like we need an edge. Hopefully this is it. Yeah, that's it, mate. Got no excuses now. They look lovely, they do. Hopefully they bring us some luck. Right, so when I get back, I'm gonna have a little lead around by the island, a bit further than what I was fishing. I ain't gonna beat around the bush, but we sent the drone up. And it looks like there's a lovely area a little beyond where I'm fishing at the minute. And I just feel like that's more of a patrol route for the carp. Obviously islands and that, they're always great features, and generally as long as there's enough depth there, the tighter you can get the better. If it feels any good, I think I'm going to move those 2 rods tighter to the island. A few pints of maggots, oh, nearly missed the turning. A few pints of maggots and casters over the top, little maggot up bait. And then I'm going to have a lead around out to the left where we saw that the one carp that showed in our swim this morning was about 15-20 yards to the left of where I'm fishing now, and there were a few bubbles coming up in that area as well. So yeah, I'm gonna have a lead around there, see if I can find a spot, put my third rod on it. Obviously I only fished 2 rods last night, and you can fish 3, so I might as well. And yeah, same again, a couple of spoms and maggots and casters, probably a little less on that rod. Just try and fish for a bite and see what happens. Hopefully we can nick one.
I've had a little walk with Percy this afternoon. We've had a little bimble around the lake, just looking for opportunities really. From what I saw this morning, there's someone in that swim, there's someone in the other swim that I saw fish showing, so there's nowhere really that I can feel like would be a better move than staying here. Tactically, I'm going to make a couple of changes. I had a lot of bubbling over the left-hand rod, but it's the one rod that I didn't get a bite on. It's a much softer, sort of siltier bottom, so I'm actually going to put a longer hinge on that rod. I'm going to just go a bit more gentle with the bait and only put boilie on that rod. So I'm going to put maybe 3 spoms of boilie out there, fish the hinge over the top and see if we can't actually unlock that spot and get that rod working. In terms of the other 2 rods that I had the 2 giant bream on, I'm going to sort of, I went in, for me, which, you know, with quite a, you know, sort of, not delicate presentation, but, you know, a single nut, balanced, a little bit of fake corn. I'm going to take the fake corn out. I'm going to fish a double tiger nut hook bait on both of those rods, just to see, be a size 4 hook on a D, just to see if I can't deter, if the bream do turn back up out there, deter a pickup from them, and see if we can't get a carp off those spots. Both spots are working, you know, look really good. One of them we definitely saw fish over yesterday morning, so unless they've completely drifted off, I think there's a definite chance. Just gonna try and make the most out of this swim. They're the changes. Let's see if they work. Oh, me. That's got to go tomorrow morning, man. That's got to.
No, it's all going to go swimmingly today. I've got that feeling. I've had me a can of Red Bull. I'm ready for anything. Right, let's get rid of that clip. There's the drop. 20, just under 21. So, found a better, well, not a better spot by the island, but that area that we saw on the drone earlier on, I've just had a lead about and I'm getting great drops there, but not a great pullback. Fantastic drops, but as soon as I pull it back, I can feel it sort of lifting up in the weed and that. So what I'm going to do is put 2 rigs out there, relatively tight together, one on a pop-up, so I know it's fishing, one on a bottom bait, which I'm more confident in fishing over small particle baits, especially, well, say particle baits, obviously it'll be maggots and casters, but they'll be tight on the deck, of course. So I've got the best of both worlds then. I've got a rig that I know I'll be fishing and a rig that I'm really confident in. Yeah, fingers crossed. See what happens. Yeah, I'd love to have them both out there on the bottom really, but it doesn't feel as clean as I'd like it to be. I'm still going to put one on the bottom though. That one. Now, the hook and the maggots do actually balance that pop-up out perfectly on the rig. It just sinks ever so slowly, but I'm putting a little bit of putty on there just as a fail safe really. If roach or perch are to peck those maggots off, which they could do, the last thing I want is the pop up to rise because there's not enough weight. So just a tiny bit of putty just ensures that my pop up's going to stay on the bottom. So when I'm using natural baits, I don't like to go too heavy with them. I like a few out there, you know, but I don't want to go over the top and pile in loads and loads. So I'm going to start off with about 4 points, which is about half of what I brought. And yeah, see what happens. If I get a fish, I'll put a few more spawns out there, maybe a pint and a half every bite, just to top up the spot, which is plenty. You know, they're very, in a pint and a half, say, of maggots and casters, there's a lot of small items of bait there, so that is more than enough for a bite. I think that was perfect. Got a shit drop there. I'm sure that's bang on though. Let's do it once more. Yeah, it was perfect, that one. Excuse my French. That was perfection. Absolute perfection. Got a really good drop then as well. Best drop out of them sort of 3 or 4 casts. Oh! That went out fantastically, first cast. It actually landed a tiny bit to the left of where I wanted it. Now when I say a tiny bit, I'm literally talking 3 or 4 inches, but it went down so well that there is no way I'm reeling that in. So contrary to what a lot of people would probably say, the autumn is not generally my favourite time to be out on the bank. I find the fishing can get very tricky. You know, the water temperature's dropping. The fish have seen a lot of pressure throughout the year. A lot of them have already been caught. Lakes become very swimmy generally. You know, the carp will be a lot more localised. But there's no denying that it can be a beautiful time of the year to be out there. You know, the leaves are turning and lakes generally just look fantastic at that time of the year. And there is always the chance of a big one. You know, those big ones do like to get caught in the autumn, so it's definitely worth sticking at it.
The atmosphere of the lake actually feels a lot better tonight. It's warmer. We're seeing things happening this evening, whereas yesterday it was a bit quiet. I'm feeling really confident that either Tom or myself will have a chance by sort of tomorrow morning.
This is only the beginning.
Right, so that's it then. Rods are out. You know, in fact, they've been out a couple of hours now. I've got them both out on that spot near to the island. I mean, it's not as nice as I hoped it would be, but I was getting good drops out there. I wasn't really getting much of a pullback. But yeah, good drops on both rigs. Got about 4 points of maggots and casters over the top of them. We've seen fish out to the left. In fact, I've seen 2 now, not far away from me at all, just in the weed to the left. I was going to put a third rod out, but after having a bit of a lead about, there wasn't really anything out there to the left. It was just very weedy. So I've decided to stick with the 2. I've got all my eggs in one basket, but I feel like it's a good basket. So fingers crossed. Hopefully they find them maggots and casters. And yeah, we'll see what happens in the morning. Well, I'm not sure what the time is. It's pretty early in the morning. I think it's maybe about 3 o'clock, but I'm not sure. But I've just had a bite on the right hander, on the little pop-up tip with maggots. Unfortunately though, when I say unfortunately, I mean we've caught one at the end of the day, but it's probably the smallest fish in the lake. It's a common, which is probably literally about 10 pounds. It weeded me up straight away. As soon as I had the bite, I picked up into it straight away in the weed. slowly got it moving towards me, brought it all the way in, and then typically broke free from the weed right under the rod tip and wiped the other flipping rod out. So now we've got no rods out there. So the plan is I'm going to put a fresh hook on this, fresh hook bait, and hopefully I can just get this one rod. It's very tight, that spot is by the island. So I think trying to get 2 rods on it at this time of the morning is asking a lot. So if I can sort this one rod out, get 1 rig on the spot, and hopefully we can get another one. Well, I do think everything happens for a reason. And obviously I've just taken the other rod out and I've just realised that all the maggots have gone off the hook bait on the D-rig, on the little plastic dumbbell. Now, if I hadn't have taken that rod out with that fish, I'd have quite happily sat here behind 1 rod for the rest of the sort of morning, probably till at least it got light. And obviously I'd have just been sat behind a plastic dumbbell with no maggots on. Now, no doubt that could have done a bite, but at least now when I recast this rod, I know it's going to have a fresh, juicy ball of maggots on the end. So, yeah, not the end of the world. Everything happens for a reason, like I say. Oh, that's lovely. Lovely, that is. Actually got a really flipping good drop. Oh, I just had a liner on the brain. It's just sinking. Oh. It's a bit, I caught it like a bit high and it just sort of dropped into the water. But I got a really good drop. And literally as I'm sinking the line, I've just felt it tug in my hand, which it obviously fell over a fish. I reckon that's on the money. Hi, doing it again. Mental in that deep water. Yes! Yes! All comes good on the last morning. Oh, I'm well made up. Well made up, mate. Yeah! All that. We got one. So yeah, on the double tiger nut. So yeah, didn't have any bream problems. And we've been rewarded by one of these mega old lagoon carp. So I just hope Tom's had one. It looked good for him yesterday afternoon as well. There was fish about, so you know, all the little bits and pieces we've done over the last couple of days all seems to have come to fruition, especially for me. I'm going to drink this,
give Tom a little ring, see if he's had anything, and then we'll have a catch up a bit later. But yeah, right now I've got one in the net. I've pinged the rod back out there. We've heard them out there last night. Oh, happy days.
It's just getting light now, and although I did redo that one rod after catching the fish, ideally I want them both back out there, so I'm going to reel that one in and yeah, put them both back out perfect, because I definitely feel like there could be another chance. But I have just had a liner on the one rod that he's out there fishing. Just sort of threw a spanner in the works, but I'm going to wind it in anyway, put a couple more spawns out there, get both rigs bang on, and hope that we can get another. But either way, we've just found out that Oz has got one next door, and it sounds like it's a good one too. That's beautiful. See that slice, that weed? That's one. I reckon I've got room for both of them as well. Couldn't have asked for anything better than that. That wasn't the most amazing drop I've had, but it was a drop. And it was absolutely bang on, so I ain't gonna risk it. Swam round with a lady, this did. Just don't get caught. It's like a tench. Ta-da! It's a lovely carp, look, it's got a funny eye. Well, there you go. Certainly not the biggest fish in the pond. In fact, it's probably one of the smallest, but a beautiful little carp nonetheless, and a blank saver. Obviously the rods are back out there now. We've got plenty of time for another chance, so fingers crossed. I'm going to slip this one back and going to pop round next door and see what Oz has got, because he's definitely got a better one. Cheers, mate. That's mega, mate. Fair play. That's a good one, mate. That's a good one. Well done, mate. That's what we want.
That's what we came here for, mate, isn't it?
Yes, mate.
Hey.
Do you want me to move your net?
Yeah, please, mate, for you.
Give him a little lift. Oh, he's a right fatty. That'll do, mate.
That'll do, innit? Let's get him in. 36, exactly. Look at those lovely little scales there.
Mega in it, to be fair. That'll flipping do. That's mega, mate. Hold her there.
So that just feels incredible. Lovely late September morning, back up in Cambridge on a historic old venue, St.Ives Lagoon. A lake that I've read loads about in the past. I've had mates that fished up here. I'm actually fishing in the swim that Tell caught the lady all those years ago. And at first light, the rod's buckled over and we've got this incredible 36-pound common. Gorgeous fish, more than I could possibly have hoped for on this film. We come here cold, didn't know anything really about the way the lake was fishing or even the stock, to be honest. And to get this one, well, don't get no better than that, does it? I'm gonna put her down.
That is fucking great, man.
What have you done? It's a cool fish, isn't it? Right, let's just spin around. We'll have a look at the other side, then we'll get her back. What a creature! Yes! Yes, Tom.
That'll do, mate.
One apiece, eh?
Mate, that is mega.
That's turned into a fabulous, fabulous morning. What a trip.
I reckon that's one of the biggest commons in the lake.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like you said, we don't really know what's in here, do we?
No, that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like magic.
Look at his cool little bob.
Yeah.
He's got like a
A little
hand
split.
on the end.
Yeah, he's wicked, isn't he?
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, mate. Over there.
She's going down.
Cool. That'll do, mate.
Chuffed bits.
I'll bet, mate. That is. I'm chuffed. I'm chuffed for you.
I think we get this this lovely old girl back in the lake.
Do you want the sling taken out of the way?
Cheers, mate. Oh, look at that. That is what we came up to Cambridge for. A classic looking Cam's Common. Immaculate condition, plump, autumn colours, everything you could want in a classic old English carp. That is absolutely perfection in my eyes. Loving it.
That's the one, mate. Over there. Looks flipping awesome.
Thank you, mate. That has made our trip. See you, mate. Thanks for making our trip. Making my morning. Yes. What a carp. Either way.
Mega, mate. Flipping well done, Oz. So he's just stood round in Ozzy's swim next door. He's literally just put that mega 36-pound common back, and my left-hander's away. Just trying to keep it away from that other line. Cheers, Ozman. Thank you, mate. Oh shit, I'm in the trees. We're having them today, mate. Oh. Not a monster, but he'll flipping do. That's it. I'm going to get that rod back out quick. I reckon we could get another one yet. Everything was perfect. The only problem is there's a bit of weed now floating on the surface, just short of the spot. And I think I've just dodged it. It's hard to see at that range. Well, a little bit bigger than I expected. 21 pounds, 15 ounces. Well, there you go. Second one of the morning for me. Lovely 21 pounder. I guess this is one of the younger fish that have recently been stocked into the lake, but a beautiful carp and one for the future. And yeah, that's number 3 now between us. What a mega morning. We really couldn't have asked for any more. And to be honest, I feel like there could still be a chance. Maybe I'm asking a bit, but you never know, you never know. Right, let's get him back. Come on. It's well in the weed, this one. Oh no. Oh, it's still there. I thought that was it gone. So weedy out there. We've got a bit of movement now. Praying now for a good or cold. It is coming very slowly, but it's taking its time. Getting this lot in the net is going to be flipping interesting. Oh yeah. I'm going to go for the old hand line. I'm a little bit dubious. Is there a carp or is there not? Oh, there is. There he is. Ah. Where's the other arm? Hey, we have a tail. Hey, we got him. Flipping hard work that was. Well, I thought I was being a little optimistic in hoping for another, but there you go, number 3. I've not weighed this one, it's probably a mid to upper double, but what a beautiful looking carp. Another one for the future and a fantastic way to end a great couple of days at St.Ives Lagoon with my old mate Oz. Happy days. Well, what a result, eh? I really did think we were up against it this trip. To come to a lake that neither of us have ever fished before, knew very little about. And you know, from what I've heard, although it's got a decent stock, we're not too sure exactly, but we think around about 150 carp. That's what we've been told anyway, I'm not sure. Very weedy, like it's far from what you'd class as an easy lake. So to get 3 this morning, including a real big one to Oz, I mean, we really couldn't have asked for much more than that. Oh, I'm buzzing. What a result. I'm chuffed. Mega that was, wasn't it, mate?